Welcome back to another episode of the Supply Chaney podcast, the podcast where we talk to the experts in the industry, not just about what they do on a day-to-day basis, but also we try to get to know them as a person, as a professional in the industry, and hear their career stories. And then, if we have time, we talk a little bit about, we talk some shop. I'm really, really fortunate today to have Alon on from Octup. We've actually known each other for a couple of years now. We met at one of those kind of dinners that folks put together in different cities, and I happened to be sitting across from him and not ever realizing that 2 years later he'd be coming onto my podcast. It's a small world.
Yeah,
Never say never in this sort of world. So, Alon, welcome to the podcast. If you could take a couple minutes and just give people a quick primer on yourself and what you're doing.
of course. So first, thank you for having me, Nathan. It's a crazy story. We just discussed about that. We met in this dinner, but this just represent the character of this industry. It's a very communitized industry, and you're building the relationship with the space. So I'm really, really happy to be here today. So I'm Alon. I'm the founder of Octup, an entrepreneur for over 12 years. I'm married and a father to two beautiful boys. Trying to be a father with all of the craziness of being a founder. Um, yeah, and in the industry, in the 3PL industry, for a very long time, and really enjoying that what we're doing today.
You just gave me an idea. Maybe we could launch a mothers and fathers founders group, like a support group for founders
We,
who are also.
I can tell you that my wife definitely needs the support. It's a journey. It's
Yep.
definitely a journey. But this is also part of the rewarding stuff of what you're doing. The long hours, the kind of the hard works in the end is what's creating the impact. Of course, there are some, you're paying the price, but I'm trying to balance between the family and the business. Not all the time, or most of the time, I'm not really doing it successfully, obviously. But it's part of the price to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, you actually took it from a different perspective than I was actually going. I was thinking the founders that are mothers and fathers and trying to be business people and travel the world and be parents at the same time. But you're right. Actually, our spouses also have to put up a lot as a result. So shout out to the partners out there. Um,
100%.
so Alon, it is 10 in the morning here in the U.S. for me. I'm curious, are you calling in from the U.S. or are you somewhere else in the world?
No, I'm located in Tel Aviv, and now
Mm.
is 6:30 p.m.
Okay, all
afternoon here in
right,
Tel
all right.
Aviv. Yeah.
All right. Cheers then. Well, tell me a little bit about, kind of like just your story. Who, when you were younger, growing up, what kind of kid were you in school? Were you the chatty one or you the engineering one or, always with a book? Kind of curious about your upbringing a little bit.
So I think that it's a very good question because it's impact the way that I'm acting as a parent today.
Hmm.
So I always had some kind of an HDD when I was growing up. Back then no one know how to call it, but I always was, don't have a lot of energy to sit with, or too much energy to sit in the class, too much time. I, miss a lot of exams, etc. But everyone likes me in the school. Like I was, the part of the school organizing about anything event like the headmaster liked me, the teacher liked me, and this is what basically helped me to survive school. But every summer I needed to do like a summer school to complete the task, to complete the exams. It was kind of my basic in studies. um but in the end, I think this is kind of my most stronger character, in a sense. My motivation and ability to create stuff, to build stuff. Like I didn't know that about myself back then, but I always a builder, and to sit in a class for me was just boring. Um, so in the end, I was putting all of my effort to organize the next school event, or to be in the school, committee to organize stuff, etc. But in the end, after I was graduating from school, I was joined to the Israeli Special Forces, recruited. As you probably know, all the Israelis need to do 3 years obligatory service. And I think that what kind of shaped me as a person is the 3 years that I did in the military, because on one side it's really take me to the edge, personally, mentally, and physically, but also allowed me to empower kind of the basic thing that I have, and to bring them into really kind of to create value. So always also in the part of the military service, I was also kind of the entrepreneur side of a soldier. I was never kind of the small-minded kind of person that doing what he been told. I always was a rebel in a sense, trying to do things on my own way. I always say to my wife, now that I have a small kids that in the first grade, she's telling me we need to do homework with him. We are neglecting the child. I tell her I never did homework one time in my life, and I came out fine. I don't think that I'm so bad. So again, I need to find the balance between not neglecting my child to help him with schools, and also to see kind of my journey. But my journey was a combination of no one understand me in a sense when I was a kid, but when I grow up, all kind of those energy that in the end was didn't fit to the ordinary frame of schools, what helped me to build my own businesses and moving on in life, even if it was challenging once in a while.
Oh my goodness. I love that. That's exactly the kinds of stories that we want to hear. Who are the people behind these brands and these folks that build things? And it does take a certain amount of crazy, I think, right, to go out and build
Yeah,
something from scratch. And I was talking with some fellow podcasters the other day, and it turns out we were all the disruptive kids in class as well that talked all during class. And I realized, like, Mom, now look, it paid
yeah,
off. We're professional talkers now. So,
yeah,
um,
100%.
it's fun seeing those early stories. So, but I'm curious, like, in those school years, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do after your service? Did you think you wanted to, I don't know, be an entrepreneur of some sort, or an engineer, or a doctor? Like, did you have some big vision?
So I was growing up in a home that both of my parents was independent. So my father is an accountant; he have his own office, and my mother she's also kind of in the space. So I was growing up to a house that encourage entrepreneurship, and for me, I think it was just kind of basic part of life that when I would grow up, I will build my own business. What I want to build, it was nothing that I can even imagine. So I think that, but my main kind of agenda in life, that action leads you to new opportunities, and you always need to be in the move. I always focused, like when I was a student or when I was doing stuff, to try to do a lot of stuff, and until I will kind of find the hook that is successful, and kind of double down on that. And you never know when the opportunity will come. And everything that I did in life, in the end, lead me to the next opportunity. Now that you're asking, it's really kind of part of the chain that actually each part of this chain, this is what led me to the next venture. So I never sat in house and I said, okay, I want to build operation platform for 3PLs. Let's build business. No, it's always kind of come from something as an outcome in a sense.
100%. I'm right there with you, right? It's you never at some point though, I think you kind of arrive maybe at that thing that you were kind of always working toward, like it was an inevitable outcome that you were going to arrive at this place. And maybe, we don't have the opportunity to see into the future. So we don't know if the place that we're in today with Octup and Supply Chain is where we stay for forever, or if we just stay here for a couple more years, like
Yeah.
you said, we never know. I'm curious though, as you have been, kind of going into the job market and into being an entrepreneur, which it seems like you're always born to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Kind of how was, after your service, and then like what were the next steps there? Let's kind of like start talking through your professional life a little bit here.
So I think that I realized that I want to be kind of building my own business from the military services. It was clear for me that I'm not kind of the type to work 9 to 5. And I also told you I'm kind of a rebellion in a sense. So it's um, big organization is not the right for me. But I also realized that I need to get the foundation that, if something happens in the end, I will not succeed, build my own business. I need something as a backup. So in the beginning, by the way, I missed a part. After my military service, I was traveling 8 months in South America. I did kind of from Argentina, Patagonia up to Mexico. This is where I met my wife, by the way. In this big trip, it's kind of a common thing that Israeli go to a big trip after the military service, and this is where I thought, okay, what will be the next step? I I was also born in a home that to study in the university is a must. So it was clear for me, although in some point I thought maybe it's a waste of time, but it was clear for me that I need to do some kind of degree, but I didn't have any specific job that I wanted to go, like to be an engineer or to be a doctor or so. It really was what I will learn that will give me some tools in life, but will not directly to a specific place. So in the end, I choose the economic and business management. And I think it was a good perspective of thinking back then that it will allow me to get the tools to be a kind of entrepreneur. Now, I built my first business while I was in the university. So I told you, I always did things in parallel. So it always, for me, I never do one thing. I can always, like my mind is operating in a different kind of channels. You always have different lines of thinking. So basically the story it's it started as a sad story, to be honest. I was traveling with a group of friends in South America, and one of the girls, or I don't know, the friends that traveled with me was involved in a car accident. There is a very dangerous road between Lima and Peru, and the boss was just off road, and she killed in the same night. And for me, it was a real shock. We were with her and then the night before. But what was really outstanding that it took 8 hours for the first rescue team to arrive to this boss, because there is no cellular reception in a lot of areas of South America and a lot of areas that people were traveling around the world. In Israel back then, there was not a lot of knowledge about those dangers. So when I come back to Israel, I decided as a mission to start to kind of market a satellite device for the travelers, the tracker that you can reach out to help in any point of the world that working on satellite technology. I was the first one that doing it in Israel. So I was the first business that ever marked this technology in Israel, and we grow nicely. So we did like some ads, some organic. I did it on my own. I have a partner that helped me with that, but in the end, we were two people doing business on top of trying to be student, on top of working in a student job, catering and different stuff to finance ourselves. But this is the first time that I coming to the word of building business. What is the implication? And also, understand the word of travelers. What traveler needs. What is the word of outdoors? And this is what led me to the next venture. So basically the idea, and this is where I founded my next business, is an outdoor brand, online brand. The idea is to create, back then we were talking about 2016, yeah, the most versatile and advanced adventure jacket. We heard a lot of people saying that they're finding themselves with too many jackets, traveling. They need to change between them. Now it's cold, now it's windy, etc., etc. So we wanted to create the ultimate adventure jacket. And again, I didn't have a clue what I'm doing. Zero knowledge in textile, zero knowledge in marketing, zero knowledge in production, nothing. I just had an idea, and I said I want to try. I want to try it. So we said, okay, we don't have money. We have an idea how we can start. So we started to go to crowdfunding. And we did one of the biggest campaign ever been done in design category in Kickstarter in Indiegogo. I found myself after a month with $2.5 million in the bank, 50,000 clients, and you need to distribute to more than 80 countries. Now, I don't have a clue how to do that. I don't know anything about logistic. And I remember myself talking with people in the night, ask them, can you tell me how I can import goods? How can I even reach out to supplier in China? What is LTL? What is a container? What is tariff? I didn't know anything. So I learned from scratch all of this operation. I literally took myself into China. I spent there a few weeks every time, and I learned everything that how you're producing items, what need to be done, how you're doing fulfillment. And I'm telling you, Nathan, I did all the mistake in the book. If it was a book of mistake, I was going one by one and did all the mistake that you can even imagine. But it was the best school for me, right? Because I learned everything scratch. I fast from my own experience. So it's allowed me to bootstrap this business and to really kind of build a business that will be sustainable, but also scalable. Now, now going back a little bit because something happened in parallel to those two do venture. So when I finished studies, I also said I want to experience how it's like to work in a real working environment. So I will get the sense when I will open my own business, I will know how to handle employees, etc. So I started to work in one of the promising Israeli startup. While once I have the other business operating in parallel, and once I'm creating my own business, the new kind of outdoor brand, and in the end, this startup is grow dramatically. I spent there 3 years, and it's become one of the largest unicorns in Israel. It's an Israeli Singapore company. Name is Trucks. And I grew up there, did different positions, and I learned really kind of how to operate in a high-tech growing company. But I also been a kind of entrepreneur there. I always did much more than what I was expecting to do. I always did project and optimization and cost. I always offered myself to do extra stuff. So I always had different thing that I was doing. And Apricot, basically, this is my outdoor brand. This is what I was focusing kind of in the last 8 years. And this is, by the way, what led me to build Octup. So it's all part of a chain of events. It's like the butterfly effect, like everything that you're doing, leading you to the next chapter of your life.
It's really inspiring, I think, for me, and probably many listening to this to hear that it takes sometimes that persistence and, if you want to call it, multi-channeling your life, right, and doing
Yeah.
things in parallel, like you're saying. It kind of speeds up those experiences and gets you faster to your next bus stop, I guess, by being on multiple buses
But
at the
also
same time.
you need to make hard decisions, because when I was working in the high tech industry, I was basically I was in comfort. I was getting good salary, good terms, nice offices, and I can do a thing in parallel as well. So when I basically need to make a decision, what is my next choice, or I'm focusing on, because I realize I cannot succeed both. If I want to really build a big business, or to build a kind of stable career in the high tech, I need to choose, or
Yeah.
I'm going to this direction or this direction. And I make the hard choice. I decided to focus on my business that everyone else told me that I'm crazy. My family, my girlfriend back then that we were kind of planning to marry, and even my bosses told me, listen, what do you want to go now and sell jacket online? What do you lost your mind? You have a nice job. You're going up to the chain of the company is growing. And I literally remember the day that I make the decision that I don't care. Companies would be exist. I'm now taking the risk, leaving my company and trying to focus on my to kind of achieve my dream to build a big business. And it was like in the movies. I was coming to the fancy offices of the high tech company, bringing all the gears back to the HR, going from my car to a shitty small a dark office in some neglected area, sitting with myself, with nothing, with myself on computer, and building a business. But those days was the most rewarding days, frustrating also, by the way, was the most rewarding days that I ever had. Now, it was rough time, right? Because I didn't have any income in the beginning. So I needed to, manage myself. I just married. So it was also not the best timing to build business from scratch. So the first 2 years or the first year was kind of challenging. But for me, always the end goal was kind of the lighthouse in a sense, because I never looked on today. I always realized that it's common, right? The first year of business is rough. You need to build a business. You need to build it in a way that you need to put all of your resources back to the company, and even if it's coming on top of your salary, and I needed to manage that. But I think that this decision, that in the end, no one was, not everyone had the kind of the ability to make the decision or even to go through those periods. In the end, what led me to what I am today, because I was easily able to, to let go and to say it's too hard. I want to earn money. I want to take my wife to travel around the world. I want to buy a nice car. I don't want to sit in a shitty office in some shitty building and to try to build something. But maybe today I was finding myself in a boring job, working 9 to 5 and frustrated because I never filled myself. So it's in the end, I think that if you will work hard and you will continue with your journey, it will pay off. Maybe you will not win in the first time. Maybe you will not win in the second time. You will probably fail a lot of time. But in the end, if you will keep doing enough what you're doing, you will succeed. You will learn from your own mistake. You will get the network that you need to be able to really build a great business. And when you look at entrepreneurs today, the really solid one, when you look on their story, you probably see a lot of failures along the road, because you see only the successful stories, right? You see the entrepreneurs that doing exit or huge companies. You don't see the failures. People are not talking about the failures, but there is many failures in the journey, and this is what make you as an entrepreneur stronger, more resilient, and teach you to avoid those mistakes in the future. So I always, when I was speaking with people, calling kind of to those issue a learning cost. Like if someone tricked me and stole money from me, that's happened many times. I have two options: or to cry that someone stole from me and I lost money, or to say, okay, this is a learning cost. Now I understand which people I need to work to and which not. Now can I understand how to avoid this situation? Let's move on. Let's look forward. Let's see what is the next opportunity. Reduce noise, because what will not make you move forward is just not important in business.
Okay. Well, let's move forward in this conversation a little bit and come to, I guess, the current thing that's occupying your time, I guess, and that being Octup. And that's kind of
Yeah.
where I enter the picture and I know you from. So for those not aware, can you talk a little bit about, what is Octup? What was that problem that you're trying to solve, which you got to face your own self, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of like tell us a little bit more there.
So again, we talked about everything that you're doing in life lead you to the next chapter. So when I working with Octap, with Apricot, I was working with many 3PLs in the US, outside of the US, and always it was the communication with the 3PLs was broken. The way that I'm communicating with them, the info that I'm getting, my ability to track. I was visiting the 3PL and looking how they're operating and said, this is crazy. How they're operating so old fashioned. So I decided to build Octup to change the way 3PL are operating and managing the communication with client. Taking you fast forward, because we also did our journey in the market, Octup today provides 3PL a operating system driven by AI. In the end, basically what we're doing, we're creating a very unique, one of a kind data moat that collecting the data from all of the different sources of a 3PL, if it's the WMS, EMS, TMS, OMS, unstructured data, value-added services, we can collect data that was never collected before. And we're creating a replica of the business that allow us to see in real time what is the operation of the business, what is the cost, how much they're paying, how much they're charging to their client. This unique proprietary data allows us to provide a lot of value to our clients. And how we're doing that? We created an agentic layer on top of this data. That this agentic layer basically provided to two main components, or three main components. The first one is analytics AI. It's basically the ability to consume data in a second. With a Copilot, we basically build our first 3PL expert LLM in the market that's sitting on top of your data and give you any answer in seconds about your clients, about your operation, any reports that you want. You don't need to download Excel anymore. You don't need to go to a different platform. You ask a question, boom, you get all the answers. We also augment this agent. So you can literally ask questions like, what I can do to improve my business? Can you do analysis about my performance? This tool would do an analysis and give you his feedback, because we're augmenting him with a lot of information from the market to be an industry expert. The second part, and I think the most important part of our solution today, is the billing automation agent. Because we tracking all of those events and we have control of the data, it gives us unique opportunity to make sure that we're collecting all of those billable events, making sure that you capture all the services that you have provided to your clients, automatically generate the invoices, push them to the financial platform, doing the payment collection and wallet functionality. It's not only reduce the working hours that be done manually before in 90%, but it's also increase the accuracy. We are now seeing that we'll be able to capture 20 to 30% more events from our system, because a lot of events was losing kind of in the manual process. You were just losing track of those services, right? And shortening that time from service to cash, because you can allow it to do daily billing, weekly billing, monthly billing, etc. So when you look about Octup, of course, I will not go over all the features because there are many, but in the end, it's a suite of solutions that allow you to be much more profitable, much more efficient, to make sure that you charge your client in the right time and in the right amount, and really to optimize your margin and that effect on the bottom line of your revenue.
Okay. All right. You said a lot about AI and billing and optimization and visibility and all these sort of things. Can you kind of wrap this up in like a easy to relate to sort of customer success story or testimony? Give an example of when this all worked and how the impact was.
I think that if we want to look on ROI, this is where the billing is really coming to place, because I can tell you one story, but it's really related to many of our clients, because everyone kind of work the same in a sense. So today, if you need, let's take one of our clients, for example, that I, in the beginning, did his billing, right? I want to learn how they're doing billing. So I actually asked your accountant to tell me how they're doing that. I did it in my office end to end. And this is the process. Listen carefully. This is how $50 million organization managing their billing. Every month, these 3 or 4 ladies need to go to 4 or 5 different platforms, download a report. Then they need to go to the service, like the people that managing the floor, tell them, did you did a special project about this client? Did you did the value added services? Can you send me the reports? Now they need to take out from the drawer each individual contract that is different between client, building an Excel file, multiplying the number of services in the cost of each individual service to build the invoice manually. It's take them weeks to generate any invoices. They're losing a lot of events in this process. The cost of this error is enormous for the business. Now, when you're doing that, it's not done. Now you need to check, okay, what was the cost of the carrier? Is there any difference between what I pay to the carrier to what I charge from the client? So I need to do reconciliation. Let's wait for the carrier to send me the invoices. Let's consolidate all of those invoices manually. Let's compare it to the invoices that I created manually. We heard stories about 5 months of backlog of billing. Can you imagine? 3PL is waiting 5 months to charge your client because they don't have the capacity. Like they're putting, people on a problem. It's not scalable. So I think that what was really kind of exciting for me is as an entrepreneur to see how we build this solution together with them from learning the problem, identifying what is their challenges, and transform it to a scalable product that we can then basically distribute to other clients. So the impact on this client was clear, right? Zero manual work, completely automate the full process. The ladies there can, focus on. I think that they just cut off to people just because of our solution. This is specifically an amazing ROI, but
Mhm.
also we reduce the time for a weekly billing, so they don't need to wait now a lot of time. We can even allow daily billing, but they decided to do weekly billing, and again, 25% top line revenue. This is the outcome. And in the beginning, they even was scared because they told me, listen, stop. We need first to explain our clients why the invoices is getting higher. And I told them, no, you don't. It's because the previous one was by mistake. You missed the charges. So just explain to them that you will not charge a retro on those missing charges. You're just going to fix those invoices. Uh,
Wow.
uh, yeah, it's really outstanding. It's really outstanding, to be honest.
I'm imagining you alone. I'm imagining you walking in when you had Apricot and going into the 3PL and like seeing how inefficient and how bad it was and being, I think I could almost imagine you being excited about their poor performance because you're like, this is something to solve.
Yeah.
I can fix this. That's kind of, it's, it takes a different kind of mindset. And the way you just walked through, I went and did the billing myself. I lived the life, and I could tell this story. I could see all this dysfunction. It's not always having the right answer or the right tool, but seeing the right problem and being able to put that problem into a story that you
Yeah.
can compel people to say, this is a problem, you need to solve it. I'm kind of curious, as you've been building Octup, what are one or two things that you've kind of learned that you've done a couple of startups now, and so you've learned a couple of lessons. Maybe what's one that you've learned with Octup specifically?
I think that to be very close and listen to your client is super important. Sometimes, as a founders or as a startup companies, we're trying to educate the market and to tell them this is what you need to do, not what you want. This is your problem. We're going to fix the problem that you don't know that you have because we know what is better for you. When I built Octop in the beginning, we weren't so kind of close to our client. We try to build a solution. But I think what really changed when we started to work closely with our client and really listen to the problems and build all the solution around them and not trying to come to them with the solution and say, hey, this is what we're doing, you want it or not. No, we're a partner here. We want to build a solution that really save a real and a big pain point in the industry. And sometimes you need to shift very fast, right? Because you're trying to do something. No, it's not the right track. You need to know also to throw it to the trash, although you invest a lot of that and you feel in love with what you're doing. But the ability to know to let go of something and to identify a different direction, I think this was the key for us.
Okay.
To try, to always try to, if you lose, to lose fast and to understand that you're losing, but if you win, to win fast and to double down. Because
Gotcha.
we obviously tried many things, like part of our journey, and the billing was one of the biggest pain point that we also tried to solve. But we never know if this is what will create the hook for our clients, the urgency. But when we saw that this is one of the biggest problem in the industry, we doubled down.
Yeah.
Okay, we identified something. Let's put a lot of effort on this pain point, and our ability to do that is, as you mentioned, to work with the clients, to do the work, to dirty your hand. There is no other way. To
Yeah.
really go see the clients, visit them, doing with them the operation, and understand where you can help them, when you can provide value.
Let's talk a little bit about who your ideal client is. Most 3PLs have a WMS, they have a TMS, they have a labor management system, they have all these things. Like kind of is a 3PL of a certain number of orders, you know, a minimum number of orders, a maximum, you know, can you paint that picture a little bit for people that are listening that might be interested in whether they are an ideal client for you or not?
So today we have, well, high variety of clients. Really, we are
Okay.
touching any kind of a client of 3PL that you can imagine. We have small ones that doing, just starting, doing 4 to 6 millions, and we have mid market that doing 700 million and more of revenue a year. Um, so I think that any decent sized 3PL, sometimes our solution, it's not super expensive, but sometimes, you just started and it's not the right time and you need to scale a bit. But I want to say that the majority of the market, we can provide value. Like if you're 3PL that doing a fulfillment, inbound, outbound, returns, and you're operating as you're serving brands online and B2B, we can help you optimize. So we have clients that are doing frozen storage, cold storage. We have B2B, we have D2C. We have clients that are doing a lot of value-added services. We have
Mhm.
clients that have 13 locations, 6 different WMS, crazy infrastructure. But we built, remember that we talk about the data mode that we created. This is our uniqueness. We're agnostic. You can connect any data point that you want. You want to work with 20 different WMS, be my guest, plug them on to the system. We can digest everything and pull everything into our engine that the output in the end will be the different, component of our solution. So I want to say if you're 3PL in a decent side, meaning that you didn't start yesterday your business, and even so, if you're smart, you will work with Octup from day one. Just my experience. If you want to build sustainable, profitable business, you're probably going to need us. Um, so any kind of 3PLs that doing regular operation using WMS and the common kind of tools in the market can benefit Octup solution.
All right. All right. With that, maybe as we kind of exit out of the conversation here for today, can you just kind of give some forward looking, look in the crystal ball and kind of share with, what's new and what's coming up in the future for Octa?
So we're actually now launching a very interesting kind of solution that allow us to look at again at the client data and to do a massive cost reduction. So I will not share a lot because we are just launching this solution. But in the end, when you look on the last mile part of the 3PL, that's responsible, by the way, on around 70% of their revenue, we have a unique opportunity to do an optimization of those carrier shipping costs. What in the end can cost to our clients around 15 to 30% decrease on their shipping labels. So it's really dramatic, and we already start to enroll it with few of our clients, and the results are really outstanding. We're talking about saving a year of between 400,000 to few millions with our carrier agent. So again, we are trying to touch in a different places of the business for our clients that everything come out from this data mode that we created. Everything that we're doing is again our ability to see what 3PL is operating, and in the end to help them in any place that they need value. So this is kind of what we're working on right now, and keep supporting our clients.
Oops, I was on mute. Okay, excellent. I'm looking forward to kind of just keeping track of what you're up to. Again, we've known each other for a couple of years. I've been watching you as you've been building this and building your team, and I'm really honored to be partnering with you and to continue the conversation.
We as well, of
Um,
course.
I'm curious, just as we wrap up here, any stones that we did not turn over here today? Any last words of wisdom you'd like to leave with folks?
So again, I think the world is changing rapidly, right? We all know that. I think just in the last few months, the way that we are operating is completely changed. I think that what people need to understand, and this is, by the way, relevant to any aspect of life, you need to adjust to the new environment in a sense, because if you will not, you will not be relevant. Not relevant as a business because people will do things faster than you. going to be more efficient than you, and not being relevant as an employee, because tomorrow someone will come and will create more velocity than you. So I'm really encouraging all my friends, and by the way, the company itself, we're really double down on that, to empower ourselves with our clients with an AI technology, to really be better, to empower ourselves. And we are living in the world of domain expertise. So I don't believe that AI will replace all the jobs around theirs and everything. It just will allow us to be much more efficient. It will change the way that we are operating. And this is by the way, what makes Octup unique, because we see ourselves the platform of the platforms, like the infrastructure of the industry, that allow us to, to give our clients controls and silos agent that will not create a mess in their business.
All right. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation, maybe over dinner here in the near future. And until
Of
then,
course.
catch you later and take care.
Thank you, Nathan. It was great.